hope you're well.
Sarah, good morning. It's been a while.
Yes, of course. Of course. I hope everything is well with you.
I miss you a lot. So, invite me to Alaji and Alaji one of these days.
I hear. Though.
There are serious issues on the educational front. You have to make it a full topic.
Okay.
Right down from basic school all the way to the university.
We'll find time. We'll find a space.
Very well.
But thank you for speaking to us this morning. Yesterday, from the stories we are reading in the various newspapers and from what we had in Parliament yesterday, there were assurances given that these buffer stock suppliers will be paid at least half their monies. Good news?
Well, I don't know how we can describe that as a good deal for a lot of reasons. First of all, it ought not to have come to a point where legitimate suppliers contracted by government through an agency supply food to our wards in secondary school would have to be compelled to travel across the nation to camp, picket, sleep, eat, cry, and wail at the premises of the Ghana Food Buffer Stock Company for lack of payment. That ought not to have happened. I say it ought not to have happened because, as far as we are concerned, the free senior high school policy is adequately funded. Adequately funded because since its inception in 2017, there is no year that government has come to Parliament with a request for parliamentary approval to fund the program which has been rejected by Parliament. So from 2017 to date, cumulatively, we have approved 11.9 billion Ghana cedis. 11.9 billion Ghana cedis. For 2017 to 2021, for which, based on questions from myself and other members of the NDC group in Parliament, we have had responses in terms of actual expenditure. We are told by the finance minister that in that period of 5 years, 7.62 billion was allocated and approved. From that amount, 5.3 billion was actually used. The Minister for Education, on his part, has told us that of the 7.62 billion, 5.1 billion was used. You notice the inconsistency. That is a matter for another day. But be as it may, from both accounts, that would suggest that even for the years that we have the allocations and the actual expenditure, the total allocation was not used. So if there was a surplus, and year in, year out, we have been approving the entire request, what then accounts for a situation where government owes buffer stock food suppliers in excess of 270 million Ghana cedis, according to the suppliers, which then had to occasion their decision to embark on the protest that they embarked upon. Now, when the minister came to Parliament, and you know that we were not in the plenary, we have chosen to boycott sittings in solidarity with our colleague, Jachi Kwesin and other two colleagues who we believe are being persecuted. But we've also read the transcripts and we have seen the details of what the minister said. The minister told the August House that government owed the suppliers 203 million. Now remember that the suppliers indicate that government owes them 270 million. So even there is a problem. The suppliers had also indicated that given how long it had taken and the fact that they owe their own creditors and they owe banks and that there was interest rates and what have you, they were not prepared to take part payment. The minister said only 100 million had been released to pay them, which means that the minister had not even met the expectations of the suppliers. So we wait to see by the end of the day whether the suppliers are going to accept the part payment and whether the suppliers are also going to accept the claim by the minister that they are owed 203 million compared to the 270 million that they have indicated that they are owed. So the issue is not resolved by any stretch of the imagination.
And so the further assurance is that by August 17, they will pay the rest.
Well, you see, that is why I said that we have to wait to see the reaction of the people who subscribe to a group known as the Ghana Food Suppliers Association. Mind you, they also have alleged that both the Ministry of Education and the Buffer Stock Food Company have put together groups of friends, family and friends, and they have given them monies to supply, and that these new, groups are even pre-financed. That is also another matter, but let's leave that for now. But the point I'm making is that the expectations of the suppliers have not been met in terms of the amount owed and the fact that they expect full payment, not a staggered payment in two tranches, one to be paid immediately now, and we don't even know whether those monies that the minister claims have been paid, have hit their account. But I know by the end of today, they will come public. I know they have become very, very active, and they are not going to shy away from letting us know whether the arrangement that has been announced by the minister is acceptable to them or not. But, Senna, you see, on several occasions, I have said, and we in the NDC and the NDC side in Parliament, we have raised issues about transparency and accountability. We have raised issues about the way and manner in which an otherwise good policy like the free senior high school, born of the Constitution, is being implemented. Government has chosen to be adamant in the face of wise counsel from some people, even in government today, and almost every other stakeholder in the Republic of Ghana except government. Why is Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, and the NPP government refusing, even at the alertment of the IMF, to call for a national stakeholders forum for us to review the free senior school policy with the intent of making it better? How come year in, year out, we approve these amounts of money, and yet food suppliers are not paid? And now, I've been saying it, but now it has become public, that those who supply our wards, school uniforms, and sports apparel have also not been paid for at least the last 2 years. They have served a 14-day notice indicating that they would picket, they would protest. They have refused to supply school uniforms as of this time because they are old, their businesses are collapsing, they are being chased after by people they owe, and banks and microfinance institutions that they owe. Why is it that other absorbed fee or cost centers, which government claims to have taken over to define the mosaic of variables that constitute free, like free ICT, free library, fees for student ID cards, and even maintenance, have not been remitted since 2017. 2017, government is yet to remit even 1 peso to cover the cost of ICT, library fees, ID cards, and school maintenance. So, what have the monies that we have been approving been used for? And you know, I've said it and I'll say it again. I have long suspected that the free senior high school has been used or has become a conduit for large-scale corruption. Because clearly, we have not been told that government is broke. We know by parliamentary records that year in, year out, we approve the maximum. Whatever government brings as a request to finance the free senior high school, we have approved to the detriment of basic school and tertiary education. So, why do we owe as much as we do? And why are these other cost centers? Why are these other variables that government claims it has taken over so that parents don't have to pay? Why is government not remitting the cost of those absorbed fees? Something is not adding up.
In fact, let me read to you what the Education Watch is saying on this issue. They say, even though we are still in a COVID crisis, the issue of school uniforms and food supply is simply a matter of the government's inability to finance the free senior high school program effectively and fully. I'm saying this because in the past 6 years, the government has barely released 65% of the allocated funds for free senior high school program by the end of the year. So if you have a program where disbursement is averaging 60% every year for the past 6 years, you're obviously going to run into such levels of debt. So they are saying that, yes, you have approved the budget for them to spend, but of the total that they budget, they are doing 65%. So definitely, it will be in this situation. Is that the impression you get anytime they appear before you to answer questions, that the 65, only 65%, they are only able to release 65% of the money, the budget you approve?
Sana, you see, to some extent, I agree with Africa Education Watch. But you see, as a member of the committee, we have been demanding for detailed accountability. Do you know that since the inception of the program, and of course, you are not surprised that I am always the lead agent as far as interrogating this, and as some would say, harassing government about transparency with regards to this matter is concerned. Government is yet to give us a breakdown of actual expenditure per cost center. Because if you look at the website of the Free Senior High School Secretariat, they have listed the elements, what government has taken over in terms of funding, which then defines what government describes as free. So free tuition, free accommodation, free library fee, free ICT, free meals, free uniforms, and what have you. Government ought to be telling us every year, in details, how much has gone to food, how much has gone to uniforms, how much has gone to textbooks, all the variables, so that we can have a transparent, proper, detailed understanding of the utilization of the funding that we have been approving. Secondly, government has not told you and I and Ghanaians that it no longer has the capacity to fund the free senior school policy.
Ghana's gold.
Government officials, the president, the vice president, the finance minister, the minister for education have had numerous engagements with the Ghanaian public. Have they ever admitted that the state is financially challenged to the extent that the state no longer has the resources to implement the program and to fund the policy the way it has defined and has sold to all Ghanaians, including parents? Has government said that? So while government has not been candid and forthright in admitting to any challenges, financial or otherwise, we are not going to make excuses for them. Our assumption is that the resources that we have allocated are sufficient because that is what you asked for, and that you are simply refusing to apply the resources until and unless government tells us today that the resources are not there. We would only assume, rightly so, that either the monies have been diverted for alternative uses other than what they were supposed to have been used for, or government is simply refusing to meet its obligations. So the onus falls on government, for Akufo-Addo and Bawumia and the NPP government, to be bold, honest, and sincere with the good people of this republic, to let us know what the issue is. So as a responsible party in parliament and waiting to take over the reins of governance of this republic, we will continue to hold their feet to fire. They have a responsibility to be honest and candid to the people of Ghana. We will not make excuses. They haven't told us that they don't have the money. And until and unless they do that, we are right to assume the positions that we have adopted, and we will continue to push them until the truth is allowed to stand. So I appreciate the position espoused by Africa Education Watch, but we would continue to press that the resources you requested have been approved, apply the resources, address the challenges, call a national stakeholders forum. Let's look at the policy, the implementation challenges. And if in that forum it becomes clear that funding is an issue, the current arrangement is not working, let's look at targeting, as the IMF itself has also indicated. So that is my response to the information that the Africa Education Watch has put in the public domain. Let's see what government is going to respond to. I believe in the next day or two, we are likely to hold a press conference, the NDC side in Parliament, to address the pre-senior school issue in particular, and perhaps some of the other issues bedeviling the educational sector in general, including the fact that public basic schools are collapsing. It is not good. It doesn't bode well for the future of this republic. The education sector is in serious crisis. Let nobody mince words. It is terrible. And we ought to call a spade a spade.
The entire education sector, you mean from primary through to from what do they call it? The early childhood stages, that is crash, all the way to tertiary is in crisis.
It is in crisis, Senna. You can call any head of a public basic school in this country. They will tell you that for 6 terms, which is the equivalent of 2 years, government has failed to disburse capitation grants. And it is the capitation grant that makes public basic education in Ghana free. These are the monies that cover the day-to-day administration of our public basic schools. These are the monies that the heads use to procure items like chalk, used to procure attendance registers, used to engage the services of carpenters to fix broken down doors and windows, to patch broken walls, and to fix leaky roofs and ceilings. These are the monies that heads would use to finance activities like sports, PE, and cultural activities. When was the last time you had a basic school engage in PE or cultural activities? The headmasters have had to go and take loans. They have borrowed these items and services on credit. Senna, these days, no teacher wants to be made a head teacher of a public basic school.
Really?
Yes, that is how bad it is.
But if you are made a head teacher, you have actually advanced, though.
No, it is a curse. You have to find your personal resources to keep the schools running. You have to go and take loans. You have to use your salary. So nobody wants to be a head teacher these days. Do your checks. This is how bad it has become. It is no longer attractive under the Akufo-Addo Bawumia NPP-led government for one to take up a position which in the past was seen as having some level of prestige as a head teacher. Everybody is shying away from being appointed as a head teacher. It has become a source of worry, a source of pressure, a source of indebtedness, increasing their stress, because they are simply doing way above what is humanly possible to keep our public basic schools running. This is how bad it is. And you are aware that textbooks based on the new curriculum, which came into effect in 2019, are yet to be provided. The furniture deficit. Go to almost every school, the urban schools, where the populations are big, where they have some furniture. You would find 4, sometimes 5 students or people sharing a dual desk, and dual means 2. Yet you will find 5 people sharing. If you go to the rural schools, our people are lying on their bellies. This is how bad the basic educational system has become. And if I start with tertiary, the class sizes have ballooned. We have very few lecturers. The lecturers are struggling to get teaching aids. You have universities and tertiary institutions where they have no working projectors in lecture halls, where lecturers are suffering to get laptops so that they can go and teach. You have training colleges where we are running not a double track, but a triple track. Sana, it is terrible. It is terrible.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us. But I'm also looking forward to that press conference that you said the minority is planning to address. But in the meantime, the matter of the SkyTrain has come up again. I know you're a member of the Public Accounts Committee. Is this something that interests you? Because I know it was the Auditor General's report that drew attention to the money that was spent. We understand up till now, the refund has not been done. As a member of the Public Accounts Committee, who was supposed to do this refund?
Well, the matter of the SkyTrain and the fact that Ghana has lost some $2 million at a time when we are having all of this mosaic of challenges that I've just enumerated, just even in the public basic school system, must be of grave concern to not just members of the Public Accounts Committee or the NDC, but to every Ghanaian. I mean, it's unconscionable. How is it possible? How can the people's resources be given away to a company that we now know from the onset didn't even have the capacity to engage in the endeavor that we were hoodwinked into believing that it had the capacity to undertake? I mean, like, as we say in popular parlance, like, seriously? Really? What type of governance is this? And then you remember that from the onset, we in the NDC had raised concerns and issues. We had even questioned the practicality of this so-called SkyTrain project. We raised those concerns, but of course, would they listen? No. Because they knew it was a scheme just to dupe, to fleece, as the Nigerians would say, to eat Ghana money. Pomp and pageantry, they flew to South Africa. We saw the videos. The president himself was there. The Minister for Railways at the time, Jogate, they were there at the expense of the taxpayer. And now we know that our 2 million has been given away. And of course, we are demanding that the money be returned. As far as the Ghanaians are concerned, it doesn't matter whether this was an agreement between the GIF, an agreement between the said company and the Ministry of Railways at the time. What we know is that this is an arrangement that occurred with the full support and endorsement of Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, and their NPP government. The buck stops with the president. Senator, I cannot be convinced by any living entity, let alone an alien, that Akufo-Addo, his cabinet, Bawumia, and the NPP government was not in on this, that this could have happened just by the whim and caprices of the head of an agency. Do you truly think that anyone will believe this, excuse my language, BS? So, Akufo-Addo and Bawumia NPP, they must refund the 2 million Ghana cedis. And we ought to do whatever it takes for these monies to be returned with interest, We shouldn't just be seeking the principal. We want our money back with interest. And these are the matters that should concern the special prosecutor. Because this audit report is an audit report of 2021. We are in 2023. These are the matters that should concern the Attorney General. These are the matters that Ghanaians want to see a day-to-day appearance in court about. Not the persecution of a good man who has won an election twice to represent his people. That is not what Ghanaians are paying Dami to do. So yes, I am outraged as a Ghanaian. I am scandalized. But these are part of the reasons why the Ghanaian people are set. They are determined, come rain or shine, to punish the NPP government severely. The NPP as a party will be severely punished for foisting on us this group of ruthless, corrupt, incompetent, wicked leaders who have only come to enrich themselves and their families to the detriment of the good people of this country. We know that the good people of Ghana would show them the red card, and when John Dramani Mahama and the NDC will take over the reins of this country, we will hold them duly accountable with our pure favor.
Let me ask you whether, because typically when audit reports come out, you have the opportunity of usually speaking to the agencies concerned. The agency whose name has come up is GIIF, Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. When this matter came up, did you discuss it at committee level? Did you speak to GIF?
No, they appear before the committee. And that is why the matter became very public. Although some of us had raised this matter, I believe very soon when the audit report was issued. But they appear before the committee, and we are holding them by the recommendations made in the report that the money is ought to be refunded. And that is why our chief whip, who himself is an expert in the area of the built environment, I speak about, Kwame Govens Agwaja. He held a press conference to restate our expectations and to let Ghanaians know that we are going to be demanding full accountability. So they better do it now, or when we come and take over the reins of this country, they can run, but they cannot hide. There is nowhere they are going to hide. We will hold them accountable on this issue and many, many others where we know public resources have been misused, misapplied, or simply siphoned into private coffers. We would hold them accountable.
Well, Doc, thank you very much for speaking to us.
It's a pleasure always.
Dr. Clement Apaak speaking. Is a deputy ranking member on the Education Committee. He's also a member of the Public Accounts Committee. So there are two main issues we'll be talking about today. Fall right into his domain. We'll have to take a break now. We'll be back after this short break.
So the essence of my praise is centered on your grace.
My name is Diana Hamilton, VGMA Artist of the Year 2021 and Brand Ambassador of Awake Purified Drinking Water. I am super excited to partner with Ghana's first charity-driven water to give back to our communities. Awake is a brand that makes a difference. We impact the world around us. That is why for every bottle of Awake water you buy, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. Yes, every time you quench your thirst with a refreshing bottle of Awake, you're helping contribute to save lives. So keep drinking Awake Purified Drinking Water and let's continue making a difference. Awake Water, one for life, supporting the National Cardiothoracic Center. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, sweetheart. Me watch the bima wo inti kata weni mami.
So officer unko na wonim aquataps food safe na. Salad ni nua ba odi ne de bia no. Aquatap food safe. Ana medoro wo ho. Ansa na wedi o.
Omo san so aquataps water purification tablets. Em omo a omo de ebulo mu nsuo, efom nsuo, suru nsuo, ene nsuo a ehwo nte e de ye wonda ade adwuma. Onse nkoda yi so di agro wo fom. No mapomu din so ehia ye pa. Eno nti na mato aquataps surface disinfectant. Enti hotels, restaurants, hospitals, sachet water manufacturers. Ene fiefie mu. Aquataps water purification, surface disinfectant. Ene food tablets abama mo say. Ebeje every waterborne diseases mu. Safe water, safe world. Free one woman true so 050-169-4275 Kumase and 020-907-7726 Accra and 024-459-3381 Koforidia. Ubenya Aquatabs were pharmacies, drugstores and supermarkets. Nanso sa ope dudu etua and ye Kokosak Pharmacy. Okaisi Drug Lane. FDA aji ejadi enkra to atu.
Every morning, there are two types of people who wake up in our beautiful country. There is...
Good morning, dear.
What is good about this morning? Oh, what? This bed is too old. Why do I still feel tired after sleeping for 8 hours?
But what is wrong with this bed?
Listen, are you changing the bed or not?
It's okay. I'll change. I'll change.
And then there is...
Good morning, dear.
Good morning, my love.
How was your sleep, love?
Sleep, papa. Ade, papa.
The difference between a happy morning and a battleground morning is a good night's sleep on ash foam Adepa bed. Adepa bed is a mattress, a base, and a headboard all in one, made with superior materials to last a lifetime. Get a massive 10% discount on Adepa bed set. Call 02